we decided we could do it for about $55,000. We went with 54 because it was a bit of a marketing gimmick. $54,000 for our movie 54 Days. But I had, like I said, I'd made a few shorts in the past, and at some stage I had developed a proposal, I guess, for how someone could shoot a feature film for about 60 grand. Obviously everyone would take a massive pay cut and things like that, but I had written that up, and then independent of that, Tim Lee, the director, who used to work in finance, had developed his own, which was a very, very similar idea, and how you could do a movie for sub 60,000. And so once he showed that to me, I thought, okay, well, we're definitely on the same wavelength here in terms of what we need to do to achieve a first film for that amount of money. But that's still a huge chunk of change for people who have no cash, So we went with crowdfunding, and I don't know that I was as proactive in the crowdfunding as Tim was. So I really have to, I can really only talk about what the strategy was from what he was planning. And that was, we tried to get, we tried to build our followers on social media, and then we went to every single, a seminar and meeting about crowdfunding that we could, and we spoke to as many people who had crowdfunded, and and we spoke to a lot of traditional media and things like that as well about getting information out to the public. We spoke to a publicist and all that sort of stuff. And in the end, something that we learned and saw come true is that it doesn't matter how long you run your campaign for, all the money is going to come in the first few and the last few days. So if you run a really long campaign, in your head you're like, oh, that just gives people much more time to put money in. It just means that in the middle no one's going to touch it, and you're going to spend over a month thinking that the film is going to die without question. You're better off doing a shorter campaign. It gives people, I guess, less time to react to it, but the people who are going to give money, they are going to be your friends and family. They're either going to get involved as soon as you say it, or in that last week when you're flooding everyone's social media with, hey guys, I need you to get on board and give us a hand. Obviously, I don't know exactly where a lot of the money came from, but we had offered all sorts of huge incentives, and there was a lot of credits that we gave away on the film, associate producers and producer and executive producer credits, things like that. So a few of those got snapped up, and they were big chunks of money that people put in. And sort of literally within a few hours of the campaign ending, we got just over the amount that we wanted. And so we went into production with 54,000, and I think that we've finished post now. I think that we've spent around 75,000 to get the film done. But on crowdfunding, I think that if it's ever going to be a realistic alternative to either private investment or a realistic alternative to government funding, it needs to start being handled like it is its own department, because its own department in pre-production, because you really need somebody who has planned and is implementing a very clear strategy for how you're going to get people interested in it, how you're going to keep them interested in it, how you're going to keep them updated, broaden your audience base, things like that. And at the same time, you need people who are designing the face of your movie before the movie exists, so that you have a consistent brand, essentially, going out to the world. And then you need someone who's physically doing all of the work on Facebook and on Twitter, and it's very, very time consuming. And we were trying to do all of that at the same time as doing everything else that needs to happen in pre-production in the tiniest pre-production window we could have given ourselves. So I think that I don't love crowdfunding, because I guess any funding is super hard work, but what it seems to me is that unless you are an established brand, and by that I mean you're the Veronica Mars movie, or you're Zach Braff, or there's a lot of web series that already have their fan base already engaged with your content, and then you say, hey, I want to do something else. If you're not like that, if you don't already have a brand in existence, it just doesn't seem like it is happening often enough that independent films and independent ideas are getting their money through crowdfunding. So it makes me think that it's, at the moment, it's not working the way that we thought it would. I definitely think that, about a year or two ago when I first heard about it, I thought, oh, this is great. This is exactly what our industry needs. And this will allow us to just churn out content, because we'll be able to get money just from people that we know and all that sort of thing. And I don't think that that's going to work, because you burn a lot of goodwill with people. So it means that you can only do it really, really rarely. And you can't raise lots and lots of money unless you have a brand that people already want to see anyway, in which case you can probably get money from traditional sources and traditional funding sources. When the film was done, we had to really look at it, and without being at all disparaging towards the film, really look at it and think, what have we got on our hands here? Let's be realistic about where this film can live in terms of, where is its audience and who is its audience, and is this a film that's going to be able to compete with the latest Fast and the Furious and whatever Pixar and Disney are putting out at the moment, and really who wants to see this movie? And I think that the answer to that is it is not. I don't think it can compete with massive budget fare, and with people who have been making feature films for years and years and years and years. What this film is that it is a first-time, low-budget thriller, and there's definitely an audience for that. There's a lot of crossover with horror audiences, and in a lot of cases for horror, the cheaper the film was made for, the better, for a lot of these audiences. So that's the audience we need to go for. And these aren't people, because we're not full horror, these aren't people who will want to see our movie at the cinema. They will want to see it online. So we really need to attack the video on demand market and make it as accessible online as possible. And so that's what we're planning at the moment, in that we are trying to get it into as many festivals as possible, and that's for the simple the simple goal of building audience. Is it's not about winning awards or anything. That'd be lovely, but it's about brand awareness. People going like, oh yeah, I heard about 54 Days. It played at this festival and it played at that festival, and I've heard a bit of buzz about it. So that's what the festival strategy is about just getting it on screens, getting the name, getting a bit of word out about it, and we're absolutely going for a video on demand strategy at the moment. And a lot of festivals especially low budget and small underground festivals, will make the films available for the duration of the festival online anyway, so people can pay and go and watch them. So it will already be available in that way as of the beginning of next month. And then, that's essentially it. That's essentially the plan for distribution. It's all I've ever wanted is to make movies, you know, and so getting one done is fantastic. I'm stoked about it. On a more practical level, it demystified the process a lot. I thought it was going to be, it was hard, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't as hard as I was expecting. The hardest part was getting the money together. And, you know, maybe we had a tight schedule and that made it a tough shoot, but that was still the easiest part of it, because we had put together a really, really talented team, and everyone, you know, came together and you know, lifted the weight, and it just, I think we could make a film tomorrow if we could get our hands on the money. Instantly, like, we could just churn out movies, you know, because I know enough talented filmmakers who have ideas that they want to attack, and this ties into my next point, which is one of the things that I learned is the truth behind that old saying, you make a film 3 times, once when you write it, once when you shoot it, and once when you edit it. Because what I realized is that the bar to proceed that I had been setting on just taking the first steps to put a film together, I was setting way too high. I was expecting a quality of script that is just not possible from where I and my peers are at. Sorry, I've screwed up that sentence. So the bar I set to proceed on making a movie was just too high, because we were expecting a quality of script that I and my peers just couldn't deliver on. We're not that skilled yet. You know, I think that if we were Spielberg's, you know, like hidden, like we were all Scorsese's and we were going to be amazing, we'd probably be discovered by now. We'd probably be out there. So what the reality is that we're passionate filmmakers and there's room for improvement, but what the path really is hard work, is working and improving. And so I learned that the script doesn't need to be perfect. That's crazy. Like, if I had told myself that 2 years ago, I just would have gone blank face and thought, this guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. But what it made me realize is that the script just needs to be good, because what's going to happen next is 40 really, really talented people are going to take that script and elevate it to the next level. Like, someone is going to be thinking about parts of the film that the writer, or at least the writer at our level of filmmaking, or my level of filmmaking, hasn't thought about, and the director probably hasn't thought about. And every element of it is going to get lifted to a much, much higher quality. And then the editing and post teams are going to come in, and they're going to hide everyone's mistakes. And you're going to get a film that is a totally functional, totally watchable, totally enjoyable film that wouldn't have happened if you had stopped yourself because you're like, oh, the script is just not good enough, or we don't have enough money, or we don't have enough time, or the team isn't strong enough, or whatever. So it's really about removing that, like I was saying earlier, it's about removing that fear of failure. The director on 54 Days didn't have that. He was like, let's just do it. And siphoning some of that energy is what allowed us to get it done. And I'm very proud of the result. I, like probably dozens of people like me, are just trying to, you know, we got a lot of pots on the stove and we're hoping one of them boils soon. I'm co-writing a feature with Indonesian filmmaker Sean Montero, whose debut feature came out last year, called Make Money, and we're working on I guess like an action comedy in the vein of like a Stephen Chow film, and that'll all be set in Indonesia. I am trying to help another filmmaker, Rowan Thomas, get a haunted house film set in Fiji off the ground. I am writing a feature film myself. I think before I did 54 Days, I had another interview like this, and the film I was working on then was totally different to the film I'm personally working on now. So maybe in 6 months' time, it'll be different again. But I'm not stopping. I've come out of 54 Days having had the process demystified. I'm really full of energy to get something else into production, because what I can see as what my goal should be from here on out is just get content made. Like I said, I need to get better. I need to keep improving, and the only way to do that is just to keep making movies and learning from mistakes, and and hopefully learning from the people I work with, and each project will be better than the last because we won't make the same mistakes. Fingers crossed, But that's it. Is just get more movies made, and it seems to me that the process for getting funding for short films is just about as hard as getting funding for features. So let's just make some features. And I'm obviously not the only one who thinks this, because there's just so many great Aussie movies starting to come out at the moment, where I think that we're really, really lucky. I mean, I wouldn't have known 12 months ago that this is the right time to be, I think, getting movies out. But I think that the movies of, say, the Australian movies of the 1990s, where it was about sort of a moderately well-known celebrity or identity, putting together just the quickest, easiest film option, have disappeared. And not to say that there weren't fun movies there, but it wasn't a good way to make a sustainable industry. What we need is really good, talented filmmakers, everyone, producers, writers, directors, production designers, and DPs, and we need lots of content being made for people to cut their teeth on, and we need to give audiences tons of options, because there's already lots and lots of content out there, but people know what they want, and there's an audience for everything. So we need to be making enough that, if there's an Australian audience member who's like, I like this very specific type of film, there should be an Australian film that can cover that exists there, and they go, oh, I like that. I do like Australian films. And I'll tell my friends about that, and because we all like the same things, and we'll go and watch that. And then, so yeah, that's it. That's the only thing, is just make more movies. I've come out of 54 Days with that energy, and that's the plan. Don't self-sabotage. Don't stop yourself from creating something because you don't have the money, or it's going to be really tricky. It's going to be tough, but it's not going to be as tough as you think. Just if you've got an idea, just put it together. Just get it out there. And if it sucks, who cares, right? Just put it online. If no one wants to buy it, just put it online, because it's about having that content out there. Neil Blomkamp, he wasn't making tons of cash because he made this one huge film. He made Alive in Joburg, and then that allowed him to make this excellent science fiction film. That's what you got to do. You just got to make something that catches people's attention. It might be that you got to come up with an interesting funding strategy or an interesting production strategy, or have one of those ideas where people just go like, oh my God, how did I not think of that? And they're happening, they're coming out, So yeah, you need something that'll set you apart from the pack, but you also but that's not enough. Like, you have to finish the content and put it in front of an audience, and then do another one.